let's pause for a second. And what we've talked about now is what is an algebra, variables, and expression. An expression never has an equal sign, only an equation has an equal sign. Constants, remember their value never changes. Variables, the value can change or it can vary. That's why we call it the variables. And we talked a little bit about what is an algebra, and we talked a little bit about trying to understand, how you can use math and what good math is going to do. Well, if you think about this for just a minute, you don't think you necessarily use mathematical reasoning in life every day, but the truth is that you do use it, and mathematical reasoning will help you become smarter and have better logic and more functional in this world, particularly in an academic world. So I got some pictures of some athletes here. When's the last time that you saw a football player in the middle of the football field deadlift weight like this? The answer is never. You never see that happen because they never do it. Yet, when football players train, this is one of the things they do. Why do it if in the course of the game you're never going to be called on to do it? And the answer to that is because the strength you gain therein can help you with some of the skills that you learn in the game. When's the last time you saw an athlete put a bungee cord type structure around his waist, sprint forward, bend down, and touch a little thing on the ground? The answer is hardly ever. But athletes are constantly putting themselves in these power positions in the course of their competition. So they train to build the muscles, the physical muscles, that will allow them to compete and to do very, very well. Here's a very famous NFL quarterback by the name of Drew Brees. He's probably going to the Hall of Fame one day. When's the last time you saw a quarterback put himself in this position on a football field? The answer is never. Yet here he is doing this to become a better football player. The answer to that is so that he can make his mental toughness, because these drills do require mental strength as well, but also his physical strength, such that when called on, the muscles, the physical muscles gained from these particular skills will help the skills that he gets in the skills required to be successful in football. But what about art? I mean, seriously, what do you need to know about Shakespeare to survive in the world? And on one hand, you could survive your entire life and never know much about the writings of William Shakespeare. However, I can tell you that when I was in college, I worked at a butcher shop on Fire Island, and I quickly skyrocketed through the ranks and got paid more than other people because the community in which I worked was a very affluent community who was very well aware of things like art. And here I am, the only butcher in the place, able to talk about artistic type of concepts, and I could get the clientele to spend more money. So, in turn, I got paid more money. So, even little things like knowing about art can transfer to other skills in life. Plus, also as a photographer, knowing about art has really helped my photography. Here's a picture of the Last Supper, and that went further to help my photography. And then, of course, there's design and structure in classic architecture like this. Okay, so let's talk about the differences between a variable and an algebraic expression. What's the difference between the two? A variable and an algebraic expression. Variable is represented by a letter, example, n. And an expression combines letters, numbers, operations. For example, 3n minus 11, 3n plus 11, 3n, n to the third, n to the second. They're all good. Okay? And I'm not saying stop and start every single time, but again, you should stop the video and allow yourself to answer these questions. Next up, a development plans to build 23 homes. Each home will have casement and double hung windows. Write an expression for the total number of casement windows, then one for the total number of double hung windows, then total number of windows for a single house, and then for the development. Okay, so number of casement windows, 23C. Number of double hung, 23D. Total number of windows that must be ordered for a single house, casement plus double hung. And then for the development, 23 times the casement plus double hung, or add up the answers to 1 and 2. Total number of casements were 23C. Total number of double hung were 23D. Add them up, 23C plus 23D. So this was just a review of the things that we've been doing so far in this class. The next thing we get to is how to work with these expressions and such. And we have to know what the order of operations are. PEMDAS, please excuse my... Now, would you look at this teacher? This teacher, whoever wrote this slide out, because I was given the slide and then I made my own adjustments to them. Like, for example, there was no slide with the song Vincent. There was no slide with Willie Shakespeare and so on. But there was this slide that says, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I never learned that. I learned, please excuse my dead Aunt Sally. But then again, times are a little more sensitive these days. First, perform all the operations inside of a parentheses. That's the P in PEMDAS. Then, do all exponential things. That's the E. Then, multiplying and dividing are equal, left to right, equal in priority. So you just go left to right. It's like if there's the number one thing you can do to get one parent mad at the other. Like you go up to mom, you say, hey, Mom, can I go to the movies with my friends? You know, this is when you're younger. And mom says, no, absolutely not. And then you go ask dad? Ho, ho, ho. You hey, Dad, can I go to the movies? What's Dad care? Yeah, sure, go ahead, go to the movies. Then mom finds out. Mom's going nuclear. Mom is going absolutely out of her mind. So, never want to do that. When you deal with your parents, the first one you approach, take their word for it and go forward. And you know that. You definitely know how to handle your parents. And that's why you always consider who you're going to bring something to before the other one, which one is likely to give you what you want. And then last but not least is addition and subtraction. So for multiplication and division, whichever one you see first is the one you do, left to right. And addition and subtraction, same thing, left to right. We always go left to right. We read it left to right, just like reading a book. So evaluate each expression for x is equal to 2. Remember, you're doing stop and start. So for A, that's 5 times 3 plus 2. Pardon me, 5 plus 3 times 2. And the order of operations says you multiply first. So 3 times 2 is 6. And then 5 plus 6 is 11. The wrong answer is 16. Part B, you got to substitute the 2 in for 7. And you do parentheses first. So 2 plus 7 is 9. 5 times 9 is 45. Let's evaluate this expression, being sure to show our work. So, substituting in a 4 for x, because the variable can change. In this case, it's going to be a 4. So, got to multiply first here. We got adding and multiplying. Multiplying comes first. 3 times 4 is 12. And 5 plus 12 is 17. Okay, next up. Evaluate the expression 2 times x plus 6 for x is equal to 10. So we substitute this in. We do 10 plus 6 is 16, and then 2 times 16 is 32. Okay. And there's your step shown right there. Once again, 10 plus 6 is 16. 2 times 16 is 32. Now, evaluate the expression. Remember, use the order of operations and to substitute the values. Remember, stop and start. Okay, so for the first one, 3x plus 2y, I substitute in a 5 for x and a 2 for y. 3 times 5 is 15. 2 times 2 is 4. I do the multiplying before I do the addition. Remember, PEMDAS, MD, multiply and divide before AS, add, subtract. So 15 and 4 is 19. Mathematics is a language, and you're learning the language to the order of operation. This is your nouns and your verbs in the mathematical language. Next up, 4x squared minus 5y. I substitute in the 3 for x and also a 3 for y. So I have to do the exponent first. 3 squared is 9. Then I have 4 times 9, which is 36, minus 5 times 3 is 15. 36 minus 15 is 21. Okay. Next up, evaluate the expression 6x minus y over 2y minus x minus 8 if x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 8. So on the screen in front of you is the work done. Let's make sure you get the same work. If not, then it is time to ask questions. Since this is the video, in class you would ask the question. Since this is the video, you really can't do that, so just go back and trace the steps. Okay, so what I would like you to do here is the first column only. So pay no attention to anything under the black. Only do numbers 1 through 5. Okay, and there are the correct answers. So I'm going to go back one place. So just do numbers 1 through 5, the first column only. Figure out those answers, and then I'll show you the correct answers to them. Remember, we're doing stop and start. Okay, so here's the correct answers. In the case of number 1, the first thing we want to do is x plus y. That's 6 plus 10, so I get 16 divided by 5 squared. We have to do the squaring next, because first it was parentheses, then exponent. PEMDAS, P-E, parentheses, exponent. 16 divided by 25 is 0.64. Or you could just leave it 16/25. Number 2, 10 minus a times 6 divided by a. So first we have to do the multiplication. So 6 times a, or a times 6, is 5 times 6, which is 30. Then I have to divide by the 5, which is going to be 6 again. And then 10 minus 6 is 4. Number 3, u minus, and in parentheses, 1 to the third minus 1. So I get 1 minus 1 cubed. Now, sometimes students think 1 cubed is 3. It's not. 1 to the third power means 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0. That's what's in the parentheses right here. Okay, 1 minus 1 is 0, and then 1 minus 0 is 1. Next up, 4 times 7, c to the fourth. C is 1, so 1 to the fourth is also 1, right? 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. That's 1, not 4. And then 7 times 1 is 7, and then 4 times 7 times 1 is 28. And last but not least, number 5, y divided by 6y divided by 7. So y is equal to 1. So 6 times 1 is 6 divided by 7. Remember, we're doing the parentheses first here. Is 6/7, and then 1 divided by 6/7 is 7/6. And if fractions drive you crazy, you can do this on a calculator. I would suggest you get a graphing calculator for the course. I would really strongly suggest that. TI-84 Plus. I don't know how to use the Inspire ones, so I wouldn't get the Inspire ones because I just don't know how to use those. I've never taught with them, and I've never used one myself. But I would use the TI-84 Plus. Okay, you could get most of this on a scientific calculator, all of today's lesson, but there are some topics coming later. One off the top of my head I can think of is graphing, and another one that I can think of is factoring, where a graphing calculator will be a big help. Killer question. Dun, 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 dun. A is 8, B is -3, C is 4, D is -2, E is 1. Evaluate A plus 2 times C minus B plus E to the 99th plus 2D. What operation do you do first? What operation do you do second? Let's look for that first. And then, remember it's called PEMDAS for a reason. We're going to do what's in the parentheses first, which is subtraction. And the second thing we're going to do is the exponents, which is the e to the 99th. And then you substitute all the numbers in and you start computing it. I realize that today with calculators, you can just put this right into the calculator. It'll tell you the answer, but maybe follow it along with computing and see. Remember to stop and start. So that's 8 plus 2 times 7, because 4 minus -3 is in parentheses, it's 7, plus 1 to the 99th plus 2 times -2. And what we're going to do here next is exponents. 1 to the 99th is just 1. It's not 99. Like we said before, it's 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. 99 ones. 1 times 1 times 1. It's all just 1. And next we do the multiplications. That's going to be 2 times 7 is 14. And then 2 times -2 is -4. Then just add them up. 8 and 14 and 1 is 23 minus 4 is 19. Next up, find my mistake. Go ahead. Okay. So, what's my mistake here? I thought I wrote it out, the answer. I didn't write the answer, so I have to find it myself. Looks like we got the addition good. 3 squared, 9, good. 104, that's 18 plus 9. Here's my mistake. Remember, addition and subtraction go left to right, whichever you see first. So I should do 104 minus 18, which is 86, plus 9 is 95. I should not have done the addition in the second to last step. Mrs. Crabtree gives her class, including Spanky and Alfalfa, an algebraic question to do. Please evaluate the expression 3 plus 5 times 4. Spanky says the answer is 32. Alfalfa says the answer is 23. Who is right? Where did the other go wrong? Well, the one who's right is Alfalfa. Spanky, what he did wrong was he added first. You can see the look of shock on his face there. Spanky's the short one, chubby one. Okay? So Alfalfa's correct. The correct answer is 23. Spanky added to get 8, then 8 times 4 is 32. That's the wrong thing to do. PEMDAS, we have to multiply before we add. Some English phrases into algebraic phrases that we have to be familiar with and prepared for. Some words for addition, plus some increase exceeds more than. This should be just general review for you. Subtraction, there's like a sister term for each of these. Plus goes with minus. Sum goes with difference. Increase goes with decrease. Exceeds, diminish. That one's not so obvious. And then more than and less than, right? So exceeds and diminishes is not such an obvious one. All the others, I think, are very natural pairs. For multiplication, times, product, and of. And for division, there's quotient. Okay? By the way, in multiplication, of is generally done with like fractions and percents. It's not generally done with whole numbers. Okay? Words put into math symbols. There are certain notes that you take throughout class, and what I recommend that students do is they get their phones out and they make a folder in the pictures thing, where in the folder that they'll make like math notes, and then you start putting in all of the pictures that are summaries of the things that I present to you on the screen. So I would put in a picture for addition, multiplication, subtraction, division, parentheses, words, and equals, like this, and then you always have it on your phone for reference should you need it. And all of our quizzes and all of our tests are online. So obviously they're going to be open book. So you could always refer to this to help you out on those. So once again, create an album on your phone, take the picture, store it in your album so you'll know where it is at all times. Okay, a note about more than and less than. 5 more than a number is n plus 5. 5 less than a number is n minus 5. Now, I am a huge fan of a certain Jersey boy named Mr. Bruce Springsteen. So, Springsteen in the song The Ghost of Tom Joad, which is actually a reference to a situation in the Bible where Jesus talks about the last shall be first and the first shall be last. And Springsteen wrote in the song The Ghost of Tom Joad, I'm waiting on the day when the first shall be last and the last shall be first. So whenever I think about more than and less than, I always remind myself about last shall be first, first shall be last. So you'll notice that it says 5 more than a number, and the 5 was first, it goes last. And the number was last, it goes first. Likewise, 5 less than a number. The 5 was first, it goes last, and the number was last, it goes first. So in the case of more than and less than, word order does not equal mathematical order. And I do when the last shall be first and the first shall be last, switching the order. 5 less than a number is n minus 5. 5 more than a number is n plus 5. Muy importante. Okay, just some finishing questions for the end of today, some wrap-up kind of questions. Let's do these on the board. Again, stop and start. Okay, so for this first table, we're going to do 7 times the value of d, take away 5. So in the first case, it's 7 times negative 3, which is negative 21. Take away 5 is negative 26. And you can do this on your calculator just by doing 7 parentheses, negative 3, or times negative 3, minus 5. 7 times 3, again, is 21, minus 5 is 16. 7 times negative 9 is negative 63. Take away 5 more is negative 68. And 7 times 9 is 63. Take away 5 is 58. Write a word phrase for each of the following. So this one is division, and division always means quotient. So the quotient of a number in 3. Letter B, they want you to make sure you use the phrase less than. 5 less than 3 times a number. And the last one, we're going to square the h. So the product of 7 and h squared, or 7 times the square of h. Number 3, evaluate the expression for a is 5, b is negative 7, and c is 1. That'd be 5 times negative 7 squared minus 2 times negative 7 times 1. And negative 7 squared is 49. That's 5 times 49 now. Negative 2 times negative 7 times 1 is going to be 14. And 5 times 49 is 245. So 245 and 14 is 259. And next, for which value of s is the expression the greatest? So you're just going to plug in all 4 of these and see which one works out to be the biggest. It's choice 1. So that'd be 1 plus 6 divided by 1, which is really 1 plus 6, which is 7. All of the others work out to be smaller. All right, so there's your first lesson. There's a homework waiting for you on the website. Very important. As far as homework goes, I didn't get to this yet. Listen, here's the deal. It's 10% of your grade. And if you don't do the homework, if you didn't attend class because you had a sporting event or whatever reason, you can still get credit for attendance, which is very important for your financial aid and your grade, if you submit your homework. That shows to me that, hey, you watched the videos, you did your work. There's a definite deadline. You have to get it done by the same date everybody else has to get it done. If you're late, you're going to lose half credit. Now, if you don't get this done, as far as I'm concerned, you're absent for the day. Okay, so make sure you get this work